Hello, hello, hello. I am so glad to be back with you guys tonight. I think I've got a great show for you guys tonight. So, hello, homemakers, and everyone in the chat or on the replay. On today's episode of Homemaking with Purpose, I'm going to be continuing my series on lessons I've learned from YouTube creators. And the YouTube creator tonight that I'm going to be talking about is Dana K. White from A Slob Comes Clean. Let me just show you her channel real quick. I'll share this screen so you can see who it is I am talking about. But this is Dana K. White on YouTube, and she has a wealth of knowledge and, excuse me, and a library of information to share with you on homekeeping and home organizing. So that's who I am drawing my lesson from tonight. So before we get into that, welcome to Homemaking with Purpose, where we bring to you the best interviews, ideas, and information for today's homemaker. I am Denise Jordan, your host, and tonight's episode of Homemaking with Purpose is brought to you by Apron Diva. Pretty and practical, we believe that an apron can be a homemaker's best accessory. And tonight's featured apron is, I should say, featured aprons because there's three, but we can only put one in the feature box, is celebrating Christmas in July as well as Hanukkah. So we're celebrating those two winter holidays. And so we have this one, which we call Amaryllis, which is on sale for 10% off, and it's already marked and figured on the site. And then we have this one, which is Crystal, our little Christmas truck that is continuing to trend. And then we have this one, which we call Hana, which is in honor of Hanukkah. And it just really kind of shares with you some of the important elements or icons that go along with Hanukkah. So, that's the word from our sponsor. And I just want you guys to know we intend to be Christmas Apron Central. If anybody's looking for Christmas aprons this holiday season, we want them to find us at Apron Diva. So if you know anyone that's checking out those kind of products, tell them to check us out at www.aprondiva.com. And all right, just before we get started, let me just look over here to see real quick who's in the chat. Montana Mom, hello. Hello, Duncan Party of Six. Sue H, hey, how you doing? Nefertari, how are you doing? As well as Deb Whitmore and Katie Browner and Patience. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I'm glad you're here, especially since we're on a different night. We're on Wednesday night instead of Thursday night. So I'm glad that you guys were able to make it. All right, so let me just say for you viewers, if you have a question, be sure to put #Q before the question so that I can find it. And Mickey Blue Skies is not going to be with us tonight, so make sure you put that in there so that I can hopefully see the question. And then I'll come over and check in the chat from time to time. All right, so let's get into it. So Dana K. White on her YouTube channel regularly hosts videos where she does a Q&A or question and answer type session where she answers questions directly posed by her viewers. She's also a published author. She's written 3 or 4 books around the subject of home organization, homekeeping, and a lot of the things that she addresses on her Q&A shows come directly from her books. So tonight I'm going to focus on her book, Organizing for the Rest of Us, 100 Realistic Strategies to Keep Any House Under Control. And I have to tell you, This is one of the best books on home keeping that I have seen in a while. Because, as I said before, when she was on with us once before, she gets it. She's like all of us, or she's been there and she gets it. She understands that not necessarily a list of 10 tips on how to clean and organize your home is going to work. There's some other things that go into that. I had her on the show in February, just before this particular book came out. And so she did have a lengthy interview with us. I will link that interview below. I forgot to do it before the show started, but I'll make sure that I get that done because you will want to check that out. So once again, I'm going to focus on Dana K. White's book, Organizing for the Rest of Us. And I'm going to be looking at 5 particular tips or strategies, as she calls them. And I'm going to really talk about how they've affected me and how I think they can be helpful for you. So once again, hello to everybody in the chat. I am so glad you're here, particularly since it's Wednesday and not Thursday. So one of the things that I really picked up from not only from Dana's book, but listening to her on her YouTube channel, excuse me, is that homekeeping is a continuous and sometimes overwhelming struggle. And I know it has been for me from time to time. I've got things pretty much under control now, but there was a day when I did not. And as I said, I picked 5 strategies to dive into, which definitely changed how I managed my home. And interesting enough, most of these strategies have to do with mindset. So go figure. So the first strategy that Dana mentioned was to understand the layers. Understand the layers. That's the first thing she refers to, is to look at the different layers related to homekeeping. Now, what she means by that is that there are 3 layers related to homekeeping. And when I was a new bride and a young homemaker, and yes, at one point in my life, I was a new bride and a young homemaker, I didn't know there were 3 layers to homekeeping. Dana compares the 3 layers to peeling back the layers of an onion. You peel off the outer layer, and then there's another layer underneath. You peel that off, and there's another layer underneath there. And interesting enough, she says that cleaning is the last layer. So layer number 1 is clutter. Layer number 2 is the daily routine. And layer number 3 is the actual cleaning. So once I get this first point done, I'll come over and I'll take a look in the chat to see what you guys are saying about that. So just kind of keep those things in mind. Layer number 1 is clutter. Layer number 2 is the daily routine. And layer number 3 is the actual cleaning process. And one of the things that I have learned on this homekeeping journey is that you cannot organize clutter. And I wish I had learned that a long time ago, but it's better to learn it than to not learn it at all. But you cannot organize clutter. Too much stuff is too much stuff. You can cram it in the closet, shut the door, but when you open it up, oops, there it is. You can cram it in a drawer, but when you open it up, it pops out just like a little jack in the box. So you really can organize clutter, and it's difficult to hide it. And then equally important to keeping a clean and tidy home is your daily routine. Who knew? But yes, equally important to keeping a clean and tidy home is your daily routine. That means the things that you do every day on the regular to keep things up. Doing the dishes every day, whatever that means for you, whether it's putting them in the dishwasher and then unloading the dishwasher first thing in the morning, washing them by hand, letting them dry in a rack on the counter, whatever it is, you must do the dishes every day. And then once you've dressed for the day, and even sometimes before you're dressed for the day, maybe you've hit the bathroom, but you're not dressed yet, a clean sink and clean dishes is just a good way to start the day, because how many of you hit the bathroom, you got your shower done, you've got your bathrobe on, and you run downstairs to make a cup of coffee while you're trying to finish getting dressed or putting on your makeup? I know I do that sometimes. So that is definitely something to think about. And then, of course, your daily swish and swipe, wiping out the bathroom sink, swishing out the toilet bowl. That means that you and your family have a clean bathroom in which to start your day. And then whatever else you include as part of your daily routine. So answer me this. Do you have a daily routine? If you do, what does it consist of? Tell me in the comment section. My daily routine starts with, once I've hit the bathroom, I've dressed, and now I'm downstairs. Yoga's done. I will unload the dishwasher. I'll start a load of laundry. I'll get my daily swish and swipe done. And I typically will do the swish and swipe before I go downstairs, because I've got two bathrooms up here. So once I dress, I'll get the daily swish and swipe done up here, do that third bathroom downstairs, wash my hands, put on my apron, and then I unload the dishwasher, start a load of laundry, that kind of thing. And then I'll do whatever zone cleaning or deep cleaning that I'm going to do for the day right after my morning routine is done. So once I've got my daily swish and swipe done, which is part of my daily routine, the dishwasher's unloaded, laundry started, then I'll say, okay, so what 15-minute task am I going to do? I'll do that next, because it's only going to take 15, 20 minutes at the most, get it out of the way. And then I also have a weekly routine. The weekly routine on Monday is my weekly home blessing. That includes stripping my bed, washing those linens, um, changing out all the little trash liners and all the little trash cans that we have around the house, sweeping the floors, the main paths, mopping the floors, wiping down the windows, just like the glass. We have glass coffee tables, dusting, that kind of thing. Just 10-minute tasks each, and then you get it done. And now I delegate some of that. Like the hubby will empty all the trash cans. Like I'll just grab them all up, set them in a row in the hallway. He'll get them, empty them, and then he'll put them back in the hallway. He won't put them back in the bathrooms or the rooms they go in. Don't ask me why. He just won't. But he does line them back up in the hallway. On Tuesday is my free day, so I don't do anything on Tuesday other than daily swish and swipe, start my load of laundry, unload the dishwasher, those kinds of things. Wednesday is my plan day, so that's when I'm going to do my bills, pay my bills. Um, I'm going to take a look at my grocery list, plan what foods I need to order for the week, because I'm going to plan my menu, order my groceries, wipe out the fridge, because that's part of getting your fridge ready to receive your groceries. And then plan my zone cleaning for the next week. Thursday is errand day. So I get my hair done every Thursday, usually at 10 or 10:30. When I leave there, I go to the post office and I check the P.O. box. If I've got to return any library books or any other errands, I do it then. Friday, I clean out my car and purse. Saturday is family day. Sunday is for church or renew your spirit. That's my weekly routine. So those are the things that I do to keep my house managed. And I've learned those things over time, some by trial and error, some by YouTube creators, one of which is Dana K. White. And of course, my personal mentor, Fly Lady Cat. So now let me see what's going on in the chat. So we've got quite a few people that have joined us. And let me just say hello, hello, hello. I am so appreciative of having you here. And so R. Anderwill, and I forgot what your name is. I'm thinking it's Ronnie, but she says that she will gather up when she wakes up, she'll gather up the laundry and get dressed. And then she starts the wash and takes out the trash. And then while the washer is going, she'll make breakfast and then switch the laundry over and put it in the dryer while she's going to do her makeup for the day and then see what else needs to be done around the house for that day and for the week. Okay. She says her man, once he's up, she'll get his breakfast made. She gets him breakfast in bed, and then she'll get in with him until around midnight, helping him with work until she goes to bed. So they have different schedules. He gets up later than she does. I'm thinking he works later in the evening or something like that. So she gives him breakfast in bed. But regardless, she's figured out a routine that works for the two of them. So Nefertari says her power hour is non-negotiable. Even if she has something to do early that morning, she'll get up a little earlier so that she has a complete or will do a complete power hour the night before. So Nefertari, I'm going to come back to you a little bit later on and tell us what's included in that power hour and typically what time is it that you do that. But oh, here she goes. But that includes beds, bathrooms, vacuum, dishes away, laundry, and then of course the countertops in the kitchen and the bathroom. Okay. All right. So now Christy Marie is saying good morning. I'm just wondering, where are you, Christy? That is morning over there. Because it's like 8 o'clock in the evening here in the Midwest. So just kind of curious. Tell us where you are. And I am so glad that you have chosen to join us. So, okay, so that's tip or strategy number one, which is to understand the layers. And like I said, the layers are removing the clutter, two, your daily routine, and three is the actual cleaning. And once you understand that those three pieces include the layers to keeping a clean and tidy house, it will definitely go a long way. And then as you begin to look at the three layers that are involved, there's something you need to do with each of those. So then tip number two is that clutter is personal. Now, I thought that was quite interesting that clutter is personal. So once again, for tip number two, Dana says clutter is personal. Now, what does she mean by that? So when I take a look at her book, she says clutter is anything that gets out of control in your home. Clutter is personal. And that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like a garden. Wherever there's something in your garden that you don't want it to be is a weed, whereas to someone else, it's something valuable. So it's not a weed. So clutter is personal. Now, what's personal to me may or may not be clutter or personal to you. I had to think about that for a second. And she is so right. For example, I love books and pretty dishes, but I have way too many. When it gets to the point that I can't find them, I can't organize them, I forget that I have them, or I no longer use them, they're clutter. And here's the thing, I now realize that it doesn't matter how much I paid for it, this or that. If it's not serving me now, it's clutter. That was something it took me a long time to come to. And I remember my mom used to say that a lot when we would encourage her to discard some things. She would say, well, I paid good money for that. Well, yeah, she did. And I'm in that same point now where I'm trying to discard some things in my home. And I think I paid good money for that. But I paid good money for it. I used it for a time. So it served me for a time. But if it's no longer serving me, it's clutter. And as for books, oh my goodness, you guys know I have a thing for books, particularly cookbooks. I love cookbooks. I'll sit and read a cookbook like I'm reading a novel. I love cookbooks. I love romance, fictional romances. I like children's books. I like all kind of books. If you look on the shelf here, I got a bunch up there. I got books here, and I got books on the shelf there. I got all kind of books all over the place. But what I'm learning is that I have too many. So as far as my cookbooks are concerned, I've got a cabinet that I sorted out for my cookbooks and my homekeeping books. I did a video on that for the Mega Motivation last year. I will find that video and I will link it in the description box. I didn't think to put it in there ahead of time, but I will. And as you know, if you've been following me, I have since purchased several more cookbooks, and now the cabinet is getting a bit crammed. I'll have to go through it and sort it again. But lately, I have been getting books from the library or on my Kindle. So I've got my Kindle right here, and I've been reading lots of books on it. Thank goodness. Let me go back to my home page so you can just kind of see. But I've been reading lots of books on my Kindle lately because I can only keep so many books in my house. So many books on this shelf or that shelf. After a while, they become clutter because there's too many, and then I can't organize them. So that's one of the ways that I've been trying to handle that. So let me ask you this. How many of you paid good money for something that no longer serves you, but you hang on to it because you paid for it? Let me know. Drop it in the chat or in the comments section. If you're on team replay, drop it in the comments section. If you're here live, put it in the chat. And while I'm waiting for you to do that, I'm going to just kind of see what's going over here. So Cher says she's new to my channel and she loves it. Oh, thank you, Cher. I hope you find much to keep you coming back. Nefertiri says her children always say she cleans a clean home. Boom! That's where it is. You clean a clean home. She said 2 of them have recently moved out and they've gotten an apartment together and now they get it. Exactly. But you clean a clean home to keep it that way. Sometimes my husband will say, well, this bathroom looks clean already. But that's how I keep it that way, that I continue to maintain. Christy Marie says her husband and she just cleaned out her mother and father-in-law's 30-year-old attic. Her mother-in-law loved to shop. Ooh, I hate to think what you might have found up there. And then Love My Home Life too says she lives with metastatic breast cancer. So her mornings can look, oh, I get it. Her mornings can look different depending upon how she feels. She always tries to get dishes put away, clean the counters, and put in the laundry, and her family is a great help. And you know what? I love my home life too. If you could tell us your name, we like to know each other's names over here. But here's the thing. When you are dealing with an illness or a situation that makes you fatigued, then you have to plan that into your day. And I'm a good one for saying that because I was just talking to my husband this morning about something that's an interruption often. And I know I should just get up 30 to 45 minutes early and get some things done so that when that interruption occurs, and it occurs frequently, I can just sit down and enjoy it. So when you are dealing with a chronic illness or a situation that does sap your energy, you're going to have to plan ahead. And then here's the thing. Every morning you get up, you do your dishes, unload your dishwasher, clean your counters, start your laundry, whatever. But should a day comes where you're just not feeling up to it, then you just don't do it. Your family can take over in the kitchen. Maybe you just don't do laundry that day. But one of the things that I learned from Fly Lady Cat is there is no pouring on ketchup. There's no ketchup. You just step in where you are. So what I hope you don't do is feel behind on those days where you can't get things done. You just step in where you are and just keep it moving. And so Wendy says, cookbook addicts unite. Yes, you know, God, you guys know I have too many. And so Kadia, and then Mickey Blue Skies laugh at me about my cookbooks. And then Broadway Angel loves cookbooks. Christy loves old cookbooks. Yeah, Christy, I went to Half Price Books and bought 3 very old cookbooks, and I'm just really enjoying them. Tay Tay says she's a first time homeowner. She's just learning that over time you will see what serves you. What are you using often? She's learned that everything she kept from her past in the garage is just useless now. And you know what? That so often happens. If you couldn't find it, you didn't use it, you packed it away, you obviously didn't need it. So there's that. Nefertiti recently decluttered her books and she regrets it. She loves having living books around. Decluttering is also personal. Yes, not everything is treasure, but not everything is clutter. Boom! I have to give it to you there, Nefertiti, as well. That's why Dana K. White says clutter is personal. Not everything is treasure, but not everything is clutter. I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about decorating the living room and shelves and things like that. And she has her shelving units decorated with a lot of really pretty little figurines and little pots of plants and all kind of things like that. Well, I don't have much of that in my living room or my family room. Most of my shelves, I've got a few figurines and things like that that my husband might have made in the art class when he was like sampling a project or something like that. But I have a lot of books up there. And she's like, oh, I wouldn't have all those books up there. I'm like, oh, but I'm a book person. I couldn't have a house without books. And I used to always have a stack of books on the floor over here or a stack of books by the bed here. I'm trying not to do that. I'm getting more books on my Kindle, but I also like being able to pick up a book and thumb the pages and that kind of thing. So I enjoy that as well. So yeah. So let's see. So a lot of people have the same issue as well as with books and that kind of thing. So people are saying they've been there. Oh, Wendy says she hangs on to gifts. Wendy, that is guilty clutter. Now, I'm there with you, but I finally donated an item that had been given to me as a gift that I absolutely, positively did not like. But I kept it. I used it a few times. I gave it space. And then I thought, okay, this thing has to go. I just can't, I just didn't want to manage it anymore. And here's the thing with clutter, with all the stuff that you keep in your home, you have to manage it. And I just felt like I don't have the capacity to continue to manage all of this stuff. So, some of the gifts that I've been given, if they no longer serve me, I'm either going to re-gift them or I'm going to donate them. So now, Wendy, you have to make that decision for yourself. But if it's not serving you and it could possibly serve someone else, then think about that. Kelsey says she feels guilty about giving up something that she paid good money for. Yes, I get it. Nefertiti says she thinks my dish collection that I've shared is lovely. I tell you, I love pretty plates, but I've got to stop. And I've donated quite a few, but it's like I get itchy and I want to get some new ones. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so love my home life is Valerie. Valerie, nice to meet you. We're glad you're here. Ladies, say hello to Valerie. I think this is the either first or second time that she's been here. And she's having ongoing chemo. So yeah, on those days when you come home from chemo and you're wiped out, don't worry about it. Husband or kids can either get takeout, they can eat cereal, and then you just go to bed and take care of you and then step in where you are. Instead of doing 1 load a day, there might be days that you do 2 loads to prepare for those days that you know are going to be difficult days. I'll put it that way. I don't want to say bad days, but difficult days. Uh, hey, Cheryl. Good to have you join me. I'm glad you're here. I was just looking at a note or something from you somewhere else. Can't remember now where it was. Kiki, you're welcome. Oh, Cher says, do I fix recipes from those cookbooks or do you just like reading them? Oh, I fix recipes from them. Like this one right here. I do like reading them, but I've made several recipes from here, from these and other cookbooks. So yes, I do. I've got a Gooseberry Patch cookbook. Somebody asked about that right here. I've got a Gooseberry Patch cookbook, Valerie. I like those as well. So Harper Row says she's got a whole library and haven't read a tenth of them. That's how people do. People that are book people, they buy books and books and books and they read some of them. So some of the ones you've had for a while, you know you're not going to maybe get to, you might want to donate them. I did do a video on how to declutter books. So I'll link that too. Let me write that down. My book video and the Dana interview. I'll write that down so that I can post it. Aha. Wendy said she's getting in the mindset of everything in the house is inventory to manage. And she got that from the minimal mom. Wendy, I did too. That's where I started thinking about that everything that I have in here is something that I have to manage. And so, yes, that's a good way to look at it. Um, so, patience again, when you're having a challenging physical situation, you can only do what you can do. And then you ask for help. So ask for help when you need it and then step in when you can. Hey, excuse me, I keep getting a frog in my throat tonight. Let me have a little sip of water. Guys, evidently, I have a new son. His name is Lance, and he calls me his mom. I'll take it. Some people call me the YouTube auntie, some of them call me mom. I'm definitely of that age, so I'll take it. Thank you. Hi, Lance. I'm glad you're here tonight. And that's it. Cheryl, it was the Hanukkah apron. Yes, that was it. I knew I just talked to you about something. Okay. Oh, so Katie says she's gotten to the point in decluttering where she can lovingly release those fantasy self items. So now I'm gonna boom for Katie. The fantasy self is something that I learned from either the minimal mom or it might be Kaz at the Clutter Bug. I'm not sure. But when she talks about the fantasy self, let me give you a real good example. And I should probably act on this. But a real good example is that I am a quilter. I make lots of quilts. I've got quilts that I've made in the bedrooms. I've got fabric in my craft room out the wazoo. And I'm going to get back to making quilts again someday. I got quilt tops that I need to get sandwiched. I got a dowel quilt I need to finish. But I haven't made a quilt in probably at least 5 years. I've got a dowel quilt that I did work on a little bit, but it's not finished. I don't go to the quilting group anymore. I just don't. So my fantasy self is that I'm a quilter because that's what I used to do, but I don't do that anymore. So I could let some of those things go. So that's what she means by that. All right. So Ronnie says her sister gives gifts that she can never use. They don't fit, and she finds gifts on sale, but she feels like she has to give a gift on birthdays, Christmas, etc. You know, Ronnie, sometimes other people feel like they just have to give you something just to bless you because they appreciate whatever impact you've had on their life. They appreciate you as a person, so they want to give you something. I think what you'll have to do so you don't hurt her feelings is just say thank you and accept it and then maybe I don't know, display it in your house a couple of times, maybe wear it once or twice, and then donate it. Share it with someone else who can appreciate it. Or give her some suggestions on what would be a better fit for you. For example, maybe you might say, you know, hun, I appreciate these gifts that you've been giving me, but what I would really like is a Starbucks gift card because then I can get coffee whenever I want to, and I don't feel guilty about tapping into the budget. And those are inexpensive, something simple like that. It's inexpensive. You could suggest that. Or maybe there's a book or something like that that you might want. What you might consider doing is making a list of things that you need or want. And I know we're not six that we're putting together a Christmas list, but just make a list so that when people say, your birthday's coming, what would you like? You've got some suggestions for that. Okay. So, uh, Stephanie, hey, how you doing? I'm glad you joined us. I haven't seen you for a while. She said her husband was in the hospital for about a month and she needs to pack the house because they're buying a home and they're closing on the 26th, so she's feeling overwhelmed. Oh my, Stephanie, moving house is very, very stressful and there's a lot that has to be done. You just have to take it in stages. So if you're closing on the house on the 26th, then I would suggest you get someone in to help you pack that house up. If you can afford it, by all means, get someone to move you. They'll come in, they'll pack everything up, and they'll move it to the new place, and then they'll at least unbox it for you, if you can afford that. If not, if you have to pack it all yourself, then just pack up the bedrooms and then label everything very carefully in big letters what rooms the items are for, and then also declutter, 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 and then declutter, declutter, and declutter some more, and declutter some more. Because so much of the stuff that we pack up and take to the new abode, we could have left at the old one or we could have discarded. So think about that. Harper says, just say thanks. And sometimes that's what you got to do. Oh, honey, thank you. And I did that. I won't mention who. This person gave me this gift. She was so proud of it. And for her, it cost quite a bit. And I thought, oh my goodness, thank you. You know how much I love these kinds of things. And it's just the kind of thing that I would normally like. But this particular thing I didn't care for. But I used it, I got it out, and I enjoyed it. But then it was time to let it go. Uh, oh, thank you, Lance. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah, an Amazon wish list is a good idea. That way people can go there to find things. Okay, I'm starting to go down a rabbit hole, guys. I am so sorry. You guys know how I get to chatting. That's why I try not to chat in the chat box too much. So, okay. So just to refresh the topic, for those of you who are just joining in, I'm sharing 5 tips or strategies that I've learned from the YouTube creator, Dana K. White, to help me keep a tidy home. And then tonight's featured apron is in celebration of Christmas and Hanukkah. So visit us at www.aprondiva.com for Christmas in July. And no, there's no Hanukkah in July, but it is a holiday that is celebrated close to the same time. These are 2 of our winter holidays, and I wanted to be sensitive to both of those. So check that out. So, okay, so tip number 1 was to understand the layers. Tip number 2 was that clutter is personal. And now tip number 3 is that less is more. Hey, Kate, I'm so glad you're here with us. So I'm just going to say tip number 3 is less is more. Now, I am a writer and I published several books. And one of the things that I learned early on was that less is more. And what was meant by that was that if you could cut out 3 or 4 words out of a sentence, to use as few words as possible to convey a meaning, do that. So that less is more, meaning the fewer words you have, the better. And the same thing applies to your homekeeping. The fewer things you have, the fewer things you have to manage. And not just Dana, but other homekeeping and homemaking experts will share that same philosophy. It means you can get by with less stuff. It's less stuff to manage. It leaves you some space, which is relaxing. It leaves you some white space. So when we would be writing things, for example, on your paper, this area around here was white space, that kind of thing. Or on your calendar, things that don't have anything written in, if it's clear, that's white space. So to have a table that is not completely crammed with something on the top, that's white space. So it reduces the visual clutter, and it's relaxing. And I remember my mom used to say that if a closet door or a door was open, she would say, "Shut that door. You know, it does something to me. It bothers me." What I have since learned, what she meant was the visual clutter is anxiety provoking. The visual clutter is distracting. She didn't have those words, visual clutter. It's something I've since learned. And it makes a lot of sense because visual clutter is definitely distracting and anxiety provoking. So, how can you get by with less? Well, one of the ways you can get by with less is to not to have tools that only serve one purpose. And there's probably a lot of single-use tools that we have in our kitchen. Like, we've got all kinds of little gadgets in the kitchen that we could probably do without. You'll know. Let me know in the chat if there's some gadgets that you have in the kitchen that serve one purpose only, and you've got this or that. For example, I've got two lemon squeezers. Well, one is to squeeze oranges and one is to squeeze lemons. So the lemon one or the lime one is green and it's smaller than the bigger one, which is yellow, which I use for oranges. However, do I need both of those? You have steak knives, paring knives, butcher knives, chef knives. You have a toaster oven, an instant pot that does 6 different things, and a rice cooker. And so that's just what I'm asking you to think about. Can you get by with less? Can you have one appliance or one gadget that you can do several tasks with so you don't have so many items cluttering up a drawer or taking up counter space, that kind of thing? I have got a collaborator in my last month's Mega Motivation collaboration, and she is a minimalist. And what she did not have in her kitchen was like, what? You don't have that? I'll try to link that video in the description box too, because when I watched it, I kept thinking, how can you get by with so few things? But her family manages just fine. So think about, what do you need? What do you absolutely have to have? And can you get by with less? And here's another thing. I used to always wonder why, when Dawn at the Minimal Mom was talking about decluttering, she always called it stuff. And I thought, well, that word's just so ambiguous. Why is it just stuff? Well, I've since learned why. So strategy number 4 is to just declutter. I'm currently working on the Swedish death cleaning, and I'm just getting rid of stuff. And I understand now that stuff is taking over our homes and our lives because we have to figure out ways to manage it. And when it's not stuff, typically we're going to refer to it differently, or at least I do. So you just have to declutter. And I realize now she called it just stuff because there's just so much of it. You really can't label it. You can't put a name to it. You don't even know what it is, what's in it, where it is, that kind of thing. So Wendy says when she declutters in the pantry, she used to entertain a lot, but now she entertains at her parents' because of mobility issues, and so she thinks more about that. Valerie says her family doesn't use a crock pot. It just doesn't work for her. I've got a crock pot. I've got an instant pot, and I use both of them for different things. Sometimes I use them both at the same time, but I don't see myself getting rid of either one of those. But I guess the question is how to get started with your decluttering, because that's always a biggie. It's like, well, okay, so I want to declutter, but how do I get started? And opinions vary about where you should start. Now, Dana K. White says, start in the kitchen. She says, do the dishes and then start there. And Stephanie at the Secrets Lab, she says, start in the kitchen because that's where you spend a lot of your time. But then the discussion comes in, do you start with visual clutter or do you start with hidden clutter? Dana believes you can start with visual clutter, those things that you see and can be most distracting. Fly Lady Cat thinks you want to start with hidden clutter. Hidden clutter are those things that are in closets, in drawers, in cabinets. Well, you don't see them, so why do you want to start there? Where her thought is the stuff that's sitting out on the counter is because there's no place to put it. And if you got those cabinets and closets and drawers cleaned out, now you've cleared out a space for those things that have no home. So you decide which school of thought you want to apply to. But there's that, oh, wait, this popped up. I thought, what? So now Nefertiri says she has 4 crock pots and she uses them all, especially when batch cooking, which she does often. I've got 1 crock pot, but I just remembered in the garage on a shelf, which I have never used. I have a little, it's like a little electric consoles, probably about this wide, and it's got 3 little 1-quart crock pots in it that I could use. Let's say I'm having people over for dinner and I could put something in each one and keep it warm. I've never used it, but I thought I was going to. I probably had it 2 or 3 years. Now, I do have to admit that I bought it before COVID, and then when COVID hit, we've not been entertaining much. So if I don't use it this year, it's going to go. But there's that. So in the KonMari method, declutter, then rearrange. Okay. All right. When people are talking about an air fryer, that's fine. So there's that. So number 4 is to declutter. I think I'm getting out of order here. But again, whichever way you decide to work, the important thing is to get a black bag, a black trash bag, a box for donations, and a basket to put things away and just start. Why a black trash bag? So that the stuff you put in the trash, your family doesn't see it and you don't see it again. And then you can get that discarded. A box for donations, something that once they go in the box, you can put that box in the trunk of your car and you don't have to touch it again. And then a basket to put away the things that you're keeping but just need to be put away. Give yourself 15 to 30 minutes to work and then stop. And one thing the Fly Lady Cat always says is to finish the process. Now, what does that mean? Finish the process. That means that once you've completed the 15 to 30 minutes you're going to work, take your trash bag out and put it in the trash can. The box that's going to be donated, take it to your car, put it in the trunk of your car, close it up so that it's out there. And it's not a box that you write donate on that you're going to want back. You just put it in the box, put the box in the car, and it's there so that the next time you leave, you can drop it off at the donation center. And then the things that you put in the basket, you put away, take them and put them away then. That's finishing the process. So then you don't have anything left to work with at that time. Now, Dana K. White, when she's having you declutter, her thought is if you know where it goes, take it there right now. But then she might be working for a longer period, like maybe an hour. Fly Lady Cat wants you to work 15 to 30 minutes, and then you don't run around using up your time running from place to place. You stay put, you put it in the basket, and then when you're done with that time slot, you put those things away then. So there's that. So again, for those of you that are just joining us, I'm sharing 5 tips or strategies that I've learned from YouTube creators. And this particular creator is Dana K. White, to help me keep a clean and tidy home. And then tonight's featured apron, celebrate Christmas in July. So check us out at www.aprondiva.com. And then now, this is probably the biggest thing. Guys, do you see I am starting to sweat? Oh my goodness. I don't know if I'm having a hot flash or if it's just getting hot. Let me open this door. Hang on. Woo. Hot, hot, hot. I was trying not to do that, but whew, look at me. I am just glistening. As my mom used to say, ladies don't sweat, ladies glisten. Well, I am definitely glistening. Woo, woo, woo. Okay. So our Andrew Will has a small story to tell. They had to be out of their home, their studio apartment in 6 hours. Everything. And she said it really made her see how much stuff they had and the unimportance of it all. That's very interesting. And I suppose when you have to go, when you like have to go and you have to go now, you're only going to take what's most important. So yeah, I suppose that is a good lesson. Cheryl used her large crock pot tonight. They made lemon chicken. And she's got another new crock pot in her garage. You know what? You got a new crock pot in the garage. You got a Hanukkah gift for someone coming up, or maybe a birthday gift. So yeah, you got that coming up. Lance is a stickler for having things put back where they originally came from. And if you're running around though, see, that's why Fly Lady Cat says put it in the basket for put away and then put it away once you're done with that particular piece. Otherwise, you spend your time running around and then you might go down a rabbit hole and get distraction. Am I in menopause? Honey, I went through that long ago. Trust me, I am well past that. But here's the thing. I think once you get into menopause, I don't think it ever stops. Oh gosh, we're being indelicate. We got a guy on with us. Well, Lance, I'm your mom. So this is some of the things that ladies talk about. So hey, bear with us. So definitely I've been through it, but I don't think it ever ends. All right, let's see. Okay. So you guys are talking to each other. All right, so now this is the biggest, this particular strategy, this particular tip, this particular concept made the biggest impact on me. Well, not the biggest, but almost the biggest impact on me. And it was that your house is not a project. I'm going to type that in. Your house is not a project. Now, where'd it go? Your house is not a project. What does that mean? Well, when you're working on a project, it has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. Like a book, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. But with homemaking and homekeeping, there is no end. It is a continuous and ongoing process. So once again, your house is not a project. And I think that's what so many people think. They think, well, when I get to this point, the house will be clean and then I'm done. But no, I cleaned out that cookbook cabinet. It looked beautiful, was nice and neatly organized. And then what happened? I bought more cookbooks. I put more cookbooks in that cabinet. It's a continual process. I cleaned out this office once before. I really cleaned out the office this time. I cleaned out the closet. I got rid of a lot of the books. I really cleared a lot of things out. It's an ongoing process. And funny thing, in Fly Lady Cat's Patreon this week, for today, the thought for the day was treat your house like raising your children. There's always something to do. She mentioned when you're raising your kids, there's always something to do. They always need attention. Even when they become older, there's something that's required. And she said, think about that with your home. There's always something that needs doing. And sometimes my husband will be like, well, why don't you sit down? I'm like, because I got stuff to do. Like there's always something to do. Homemaking, there's always something to do. Homemaking and homekeeping, there's always something to do. So, okay. Okay, so now Ronnie says stuff is just junk. Yes, it is. And then Patience says sometimes we can get overwhelmed. And yeah, sometimes we can get overwhelmed. And Valerie says she likes it that I promote traditional homemaking. Well, here's the thing. We all need it. If you're a millennial that just moved out, my granddaughter, who in 2 weeks is going to be going away to college, her and her roommate are going to be setting at housekeeping for the first time in a college dorm. They've both been living at home with their folks and their families and all that. Now they're going to be in a dorm, in a room that's very small for two people. They're creating a home away from home. They got to learn homemaking, those kinds of things. So remember, your house is not a project. And this concept was so simple, it's mind boggling, but it makes so much sense. There is no end, it is ongoing. So there's that. So that was tip number 5. So Lance says, very true. His home isn't quite a year old, and it's an ever ongoing. There's always something that has to be done. And yes, there's always something that has to be done. Now, as far as being overwhelming, if you work at it every day, you're peeling back those layers and you're doing something every day, then you're good to go. Remember when I mentioned early on that one of the ways to keep your home neat and tidy was that you had a series of daily routines. And I believe it was layer number 1 included the daily routines to help you keep things neat and tidy. What's my daily routine again? For those of you that just jumped on, my daily routine includes a daily swish and swipe where I wipe down the bathroom sink and switch the toilet bowls. I unload the dishwasher and put the dishes away. If for some reason we wash dishes by hand and they're drying on the counter on a dish towel or in a dish rack, then they're going to get put away. I start a load of laundry every morning. And then I do whatever zone cleaning or project that I'm going to work on, whatever deep cleaning I'm going to work on for the day. That's daily maintenance. And those are things that you need to do every day to keep your house neat and tidy. Otherwise, you can get overwhelmed and feel like I clean all the time and nothing gets done. The other thing that contributes to that is clutter. Because remember, you can organize clutter. So there's that. And then I've got a bonus tip for you guys. And the bonus tip for me was the container concept. Now, this particular concept is uniquely Dana K. White. And I tell you what, I think it's phenomenal because it just really makes you think about how much stuff, how many pieces of furniture, equipment, whatever that you can have in a space. So the example that she shows on her YouTube channel where she talks about the container concept is a pen. And she says that, this cup is a container. It can only hold so much. And you can add to the container. But eventually, you'll get to the point that it won't hold anymore. Now, what do many of us do? Well, many of us will get another container and start filling it up that way. And remember, I had decluttered those pens and pencils once before. I used to have 2 green cups like this, and I decluttered down the one. And now you see I've still got 2 cups. What do? We get things filled up in our house, so we go and we get a storage unit to hold things that we can't keep in our homes. Now, there are people that get storage units for other reasons, so we're not going to look at that. But there's that to think about. So I guess what I want you guys to think about and how it struck me was that if it doesn't fit in the space that I have to keep it in, then I need to let it go so that it can serve someone else, or I need to clear some of the things out of the space that's there. And that was really so helpful to me. And then also, when I think about the container concept, it helps me to think about, what do I want to keep in that space? How do I want it to look? What is my vision for that space? And, as I finish clearing up this office, my vision is not to have 2 mugs of pens on this desk. So I'm going to declutter again and end up with just 1 cup or 1 mug of pens. Oh, guys, I think we've been invaded here. Let me see what I can do about this. Goodness, sorry about that. Whew. See what happens when Mickey Blue Skies isn't with us tonight? I tell you what. All right, so that was the bonus tip, was that is the container concept, is that, you can only put so much into a container. So there's that. So now I'll link Dana's book in the description box so you guys can check it out. I've also got a link to audiobooks that you can read Dana's book for free if you start with a new membership for audiobooks. I'll put a link in the description box for that as well. But my question for you guys is this: what tip resonated with you the most? What was the tip that resonated with you the most? Leave me a comment and let me know. Like I said, for me, it was the container concept. That was probably number 1. And then number 2 was that your house is not a project. Those were my aha moments. What were your aha moments? Let me know. Water Bucket Homestead. Hey, how you doing? Glad to have you with us as well. So now Lulu says that she struggles with balancing home cleaning, yard work, and cooking, and everything that goes along with those things. Oh my goodness, Lulu, right now, I get it. Because right now, I've got herbs that are growing like crazy in my herb garden. They need to be picked, harvested, dried, frozen, whatever I'm going to do with those. Home cleaning and yard work, sometimes one may take a little bit of a back seat. But here's the thing. If you work your daily routines, you can get it done for the most part. So let's say if I get up a little earlier right now because it's daylight a little earlier, I can get my yoga done, and then I'll go outside when I've still got on yoga clothes, and I'll water my garden. If I'm going to pick anything, I'll pick it then I come back in, and then I change and get dressed for the day. Then I unload the dishwasher and start a load on laundry. Sometimes, since I've got on yoga clothes and I'm dressed, I may go ahead and unload the dishwasher and start the laundry and do those things in my yoga clothes, the daily switch and swipe, because I'm already dressed. So I may go ahead and do that. And then once all that's done, then I'll switch over to clothes for the day, that kind of thing. But you just have to make it work for you. And as far as home cleaning goes, the daily maintenance will keep things down to a dull roar. If you keep the dishes done, the bathrooms clean, the laundry done, everything else is fine. You can always do some dusting or whatever on the weekend. Okay, so there's that. So people are telling what resonated with them most. So Millicent says the daily routine. Okay, that has been such a big help for me. Tay Tay says that the house is not a project. I like that. R. Anderwill. And you know what? I think I keep forgetting your name. I am so sorry. But you say clutter is personal. Less can be more and better. Yes, definitely. So my house is not a project. Yes, people are getting that. The container concept. Valerie said she uses that all the time. And again, your house is not a project. So let me show you guys some cool stuff now. Okay, so we've gotten through all of that. I want you guys to help me out with something. I'm trying out some new thumbnails. I don't know. So let me show you what I've got, and then you guys can give me your thoughts on that. I'm going to share my screen and share my screen. And this is one of the thumbnails that I've been working on. And I like this format. I like the red and the black. I like the bright colors, that kind of thing. But sometimes I ask myself, is that a little bit too harsh? Is it too masculine? Is it not feminine enough? That kind of thing. And what I've got on is my laundry uniform. When I do laundry, I do a video, I always have on that shirt and either a denim skirt or a pair of jeans when I do that. But there's one example. And then let me just go over here. Let me go home over here. And then, so here was the jean care guide. That was one of them. But then here's another one that I've been exploring. This is the one that I used today for this show. And I feel like it's a little bit lighter. It's more feminine. You know, you've got more white in the background. So it's just lighter and clearer. I don't know. So which one do you guys like the best? Do you guys like this format, or do you like this format? Let me know what you think. I've just been trying some new things to serve you better. And so I'm not sure. And then when I did my mini prep haul, what did I do? Oh, I think I did this with the mini prep haul. And then I thought, oh, that's too dark. So I think I changed it up. So let me know what you got. Oh, yeah, I did. I changed it up to this. So now I'm going to stop sharing that and see what you guys have to say. Oh, Rachel. Yes, Rachel Anderwell. I don't know why I have such a hard time with that. So let me see which one you guys were thinking about. So the red and white, is that the one that reminds you of the spooky stories, Rachel? And I did change the colors on that sometimes. I don't know. I'm still struggling with it. We'll see. Oh, so Terry says one thing that we're not working for is perfection. Everything we do is progress. And I like that. That makes perfect sense. What we're doing is progress. So Wendy Water Bucket likes the light feminine one. Okay. So Lance, interchangeable depending on the topic. Okay. You know, Wendy likes the lighter one more than the red one. Lulu likes that I change it up. The first one looks edgy and catchy, but the favorite one is the one for this chat. And the one for this chat was the light, more feminine one. And I was wanting something a little edgy, which is why that red and black one caught my eye. But I thought, gosh, does that really represent me? Is that the image I want? I don't know. So I'm just exploring to see what's what. So Rachel likes the red and black one because it's like boom, the way it comes out with the topic. Okay. And then Ronnie likes the one with the blue jeans because if she was looking for blue jeans, blue jean cleaning, that person would definitely catch her. Okay. Well, thank you. I wanted to know about that. Hey, Kathleen. Sorry that you missed us live. You can come back and catch the replay, but we're moving to Wednesday nights now. From now on, we'll be on Wednesdays instead of Thursdays. So maybe you didn't get the notification in time. I don't have any happy mail today, but I do have something to share with you that's happy. Let me show you this. I have some new hang tags for my business. So Maxi Blue Studios, who you guys all know is Mickey Blue Skies, made these for me. And just look how pretty they are, how cute they are. So it's got the Apron Diva at the top, you know, the typical writing. And then as it says, pretty and practical, which, you know, was our tagline. And then I like how the apron thing is kind of cut out at the bottom. So these will be little tags that I will attach to my aprons when I mail them out. and I sent them out for the first one yesterday. And Cheryl, you might have been the one in the order that got the very first Haim tag that I sent out. And then now, what can you do with these later bookmarks? So they'll be perfect for bookmarks for later. So there's that. I just think it is just so cute. So I'm really appreciative that she made those for me. And again, for those of you in the replay, please let us know which tip resonated with you the most. Drop it in the comment section. I appreciate that. And then let me invite you guys to check out my last 2 videos. I got to click the right link, I suppose. But I invite you to check out my last 2 videos. And the last 2 videos that I put out was this one, mini grocery haul to top off your preps. And then also dirty clothes, dirty dishes, hungry family, try this. So please, I encourage you to check out those 2 videos. I think you can get good value from those. And now why is that still on there? Oh, because I didn't stop sharing. There we go. And let me just remind you, from now on, we're going to be on Wednesday instead of on Thursday. So I appreciate you guys jumping on tonight. So Kathleen is saying that Wednesday is better than Thursday. She has a religious meeting, and a lot of people have religious meetings on Wednesday. So I was really kind of worried about that. Aha! Valerie said she's already watching. Well, Valerie, thank you. And then Rachel at R. Anderwill, I'm so glad that you were here tonight. Deb says she loved this evening's content and the move to Wednesday. So thank you. I appreciate that too. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. I've kept you on longer than I intended. You guys just know how chatty I get. So I don't intend to, that I'm going to be on for just such a short time. And then I just, and here I am. I'm doing that again. So thank you guys for joining me. I will see you next week on Wednesday, 7:45 Eastern. Bye.